Hi everyone, today we're going to review one of the first scotches that I ever had. We're going to review the Glenlivet 12 Double Oak Single Malt Scotch Whiskey. I'm not sure if this always had the double oak on it. For some reason I recall this just being the Glenlivet 12, but it does say double oak on it. I'm not sure if it was the very first one, but it definitely was one of them. I remember many years ago, well before I was in the world of bourbon, and probably even before Jack Daniels. I was at a family function, and they had a little station there with some scotch. I remember going over there. There's little plastic cups. They had the Glenlivet 12, the Glenlivet 15, and the Glenlivet 18. I remember trying those out with my dad, and I remember basically a little bit of time there. We were just laughing, and I think we were pretty useless the rest of the day. But I remember that I actually really did like the taste of it at the time, and I remember that kind of piqued my interest. And I remember going out and buying a bottle of Glenlivet 15. It stayed with me a very long time because I think maybe the more I had it, the less. I'm not sure if it was the less I liked it, but it stayed for a very long time. So I really haven't been back to this, but since then got into bourbon, and since that time, I mean, I've had Dewar's 12. We're going to be trying the Macallan. I've had the Glenmorangie, Glenfiddich, a bunch of stuff. But I always remember that there was something about the Glenlivet that I did like. So basically, really quick, saw this sample at a store. I'm like, you just can't go wrong with these little samples. So we're going to try half of this, and the next time I'm going to compare it to the Macallan 12. That'll be interesting. So the single malt Scotch whiskey, it's aged 12 years, as the number says there. It's 80 proof. This is aged, since it's double oaked, it's aged in American and European oak casks. And I understand, think I saw a reference to that the American oak had possibly it would have aged bourbon before it. It does say seasoned with bourbon. My thought process is that this would be a first fill a bourbon cask as one of the two casks, and the other one would be the European oak. So I'm going to think there's a possibility of some bourbon notes being imparted here, and that's kind of the setup of this. So let's get this in the glass, a little bit of this, and we'll save the rest for the comparison of the Macallan. Here we go. Okay, so we got this poured up. You'll notice it's quite light. And again, I just want to reference this again. And I've said this before, but it definitely does not hurt to mention it again. 12 years sounds like a long time. In the bourbon world, you think of a Knob Creek 12, or you think of anything that is aged 12 years in the bourbon world, that is a significant amount of time. In the world of Scotch, 12 years isn't really that much. I mean, it's probably not even on the higher side of a lot of stuff. And then obviously price will tend to go with that. So 12 years in a Scotch is not really as long compared to 12 years in a bourbon. And there's a lot of factors, but one of them, of course, is climate. The climate in Scotland is overall more milder than a lot of the states where the bourbon is aged in the United States. And that also means that it'll take longer for the same aging process on average to occur. So you can have a 12-year Scotch like this, that's this light. And then also, whereas it'll be so much darker in a bourbon, and also the climate and the aging in the barrels, because the bourbon you're using new charred American oak barrels. Here you're using used barrels, European barrels. The American oak is at most it's a first fill bourbon barrel, or not at all. It could be second fill. So the point is the influence from the oak is certainly not as much if it's been used before, whereas in bourbon it's new. The key word is new charred oak barrels. So those two factors definitely account for that, and why the aging, the color is lighter, and certainly it takes longer to age on average in Scotland. So again, light color. Let's give this a nose. That's actually, it does have that Scotch smell, repeated, but it has actually very nice vanilla, floral fruit. Kind of coming back to me why I did like this one. Let's give this a taste. Cheers. Hey, be honest with you, this is not as peated, as smoky as some other scotches. It's kind of mild. I'm not saying that I still prefer my bourbon, but I got to be honest with you. Compared to some scotches I have had, this is a little bit lighter, a little bit less peated, a little easy drinking. I would definitely call this, and I've even read this somewhere, that a lot of people consider this almost more of a beginning type of scotch. I've been getting into scotch. maybe this might be maybe a good one. It's not overly oaked, even though it's been in 2 oak barrels. Again, the influence of the oak is probably less than, say, in a bourbon on average. Vanilla, floral, fruit, light, very easy drinking. Again, it's also 80 proof. Next review, I'm going to take this, what is left in this 12, and I'm going to put this up against the Macallan and maybe even throw in the Dewar's there. These are all aged 12 years. See you on the next video. Take care. Thanks. Cheers.